Hello, everyone. This is Taylor Edrington with Royal Gorge Anglers in Canyon City, Colorado. www.royalgorgeanglers.com. Shop online as well as full service fly shop and Orbis endorsed outfitter on the Arkansas River and a dozen other drainages in southern Colorado. Thanks so much for viewing today. We're super stoked. The Arkansas River is back on track. We're essentially at that post runoff time period, which is the time period that everyone looks forward to. I know I do. And, when somebody asks me, comes in the fly shop or, asks me in a presentation across the country, what is your favorite time to fish the Arkansas River? I always tell them post runoff. I mean, it's not even, any other time's not a consideration for me. Um, it's pure and simple fishing in a barrel, especially with the high flows we had 10 days to 2 weeks ago. I mean, we were pushing 5,000 CFS, which is a phenomenal cleanse for the Arkansas River. We really need to see that every couple of years. It really needs to happen. The result is an elimination of sediment and sediment bars, and really just a great scrub for the river bottom, keeps the river bottom clean, in turn increasing aquatic invertebrate life and health in the bug scenario. And obviously that means great things for the trout fishery. What does happen at those high flows is that fish push to the edges, they push to pockets, they push to tail out, seams along the edges and try to stay out of that heavy current, right? I mean, fish are very lazy and they're going to find a place of least resistance. So when the river, the main current tongue is, running anywhere from 2,500 up, those fish will definitely push to the edges. Now we're pulling down below 2,500 CFS. In fact, today we'll probably see about 2,000 CFS from Wellsville down, in which case fish will begin to return to feeding lies, not so much in the middle current tongue, but they'll be in that pocket water on the edges, they'll be in different seam lines and different scenarios, and they'll be feeding heavily. What we've seen in the last 2 to 3 days, and today being Thursday the 20th of June, what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 days is clarity increasing phenomenally. Now, we drove the entire river yesterday. The entire river essentially has 3 feet of clarity, and the edges even more. I mean, you can see the bottom on the edges, which is phenomenal. Also, what's happening right now, and one of the main reasons I love this time period is, it just so happens that, fish are tucked to the edges, and at the same exact time, stoneflies are crawling to the edges and hatching. Okay, so we've got stoneflies hatching, we've got Terra narcissus hatching in some places as far down as spikebuck, but a lot of golden stones hatching right now, and so the fish are on the edges, the stoneflies are hatching on the edges. It just happens to be a beautiful life cycle for the stoneflies to really coincide with what's happening with the fish. The fish are on the edges. It just meshes, and it's a really phenomenal time to come fish big dries and streamers. Yellow sallies are really starting to kick around. We should see yellow sallies start to hatch at any point in time. The yellow sally nymphs are just lights out under a big stonefly dry, so dry dropper is my #1 route, and then streamers are of course excellent. The fact of the matter is fish have not been feeding heavily for almost 3 weeks now, and so essentially fish are hitting almost anything that hits the water. I mean, I feel confident saying that. It's been a really, really cool experience the last 2 to 3 days. And I always tell people this, and people talk about wading concerns and everything else. I mean, honestly, guys, bring your hiking boots. You don't have to get in the water. You're just fishing the edges. Just fishing the edges. A lot of times, I'll just wet wade. I will not I advise people to get in the current at all. There's definitely several areas on the Arkansas where you can wade successfully and safely right now. However, there's no need to. All the fish are against the edges, so you just take your time working the edges and hop around. And guys, we've got over 100 miles of private water, or I mean public water, 100 miles of public water to choose from in the Canyon City down area, as well as obviously through Bighorn Sheep Canyon, above Bighorn Sheep Canyon, all the way to Leadville. What I would say to you is that the stonefly hatch is heaviest in Bighorn Canyon right now. It just seems like there's more stoneflies in that area, and it honestly seems like hatches are much stronger in that area, period. I don't know whether the health of the river is stronger in that section, but obviously that section is in the gold medal section. Gold medal section being Parkdale up to the Lake Fork of the Arkansas below Leadville. So my suggestion is Bighorn Canyon, ton of public access. Definitely recommend getting above, Spikebuck Rapid. You will see heavy whitewater use from Spikebuck down, but honestly, you're going to see very minimal recreational boating use from Spikebuck up. So, you're going to have the river to yourself in many, many cases. And it's a big river, and there's just so much access. So, let's talk about rigging. Like I said, I really prefer the dry dropper scenario. Talk about a few dries real quick. And overall, a tractor that fishes extremely well as a stonefly or a terrestrial is the Amy's Ant and the tan. I love the tan and gold right now. Phenomenal fly. Getting into the stonefly kind of scenario, the designated hitter is one of our favorites on this river. Kind of a real subtle color and profile, but really fishes really well. The double Dutch bug is one of our mainstays on this river. Extremely visible, real buggy in that golden stone color. The foamulator is a new pattern that we've got, and I can tell you personally, this thing just fishes lights out right now. Super easy to see, nice coloration, great profile from below for those fish. The chubby, the chubby Chernobyl is just really hard to beat in that little bit darker gold color with that big poly wing. Easy to see. Supports a lot of weight if you want to do even a double nymph rig underneath, or one of these heavier yellow sallies. Like I said, seeing a lot of yellow sallies and obviously some PMDs starting to kick around, so that's the nymph we're focusing on, is that yellow sally nymph and the PMD nymph. The little yellow Sloan is an excellent tungsten rendition of that yellow Sally nymph. The micro golden stone, just an excellent representation of that yellow Sally nymph. One of my mainstays and breadwinners will always be the Iron Sally. This Iron Sally is just phenomenal fly. And then Poxyback hare's ears and Guide's Choice hare's ears, we just can't keep these things. They're just phenomenal right now. Don't be afraid to go heavy. You're fishing a big dry, size 8 to 12, foam, any of those that I talked about. Those are obviously patterns that we carry and we believe in tremendously, both visibility-wise and supporting weight. So don't be afraid to go heavy on your dropper, and don't be afraid to go long. We've been fishing 24 inches, 2 feet below the dry. PMD wise, one of our just breadwinners, Larry Kingery's Gold Ice. That's really hard to beat. Mike Mercer's Glint Nymph in the gold, or what he refers to the yellow belly Glint Nymph for PMD. And then finally, the Trigger Nymph in the gold color. The yellow color is going to be just a mainstay. That's just a phenomenal pattern. And those PMD nymphs are going to fish all the way through the month of July and into August. So those are going to be great flies for you. Streamer wise, I'm always going double streamer, okay guys? I love double streamer. you know, there's really no other way to do it. And typically what we're doing, when we're fishing dry dropper and streamers, we're fishing the dry dropper moving upstream and then working back downstream with the streamer rig. It's just a phenomenal way to cover water and make sure that you've covered every fish on the edges. You can fish the pocket water and seam lines moving upstream, then fish the streamers going back downstream. Find a place to cross, on a bridge or somewhere else, fish the other side, or move to a different location. But as far as fishing an area, we love to fish up with the dry dropper or single dry, and then fish down with the streamers. As far as other dry flies, you can fish caddis right now. Really don't suggest blue winged olives or anything like that. Fish are looking for major food sources. That's why they're all over the stoneflies. Hoppers are beginning to start. We'll see hoppers become a major, major player in the next week or so, and on obviously through the month of July and into August. Streamer wise, I've got my front flies. Really a variety, but the Dirty Hippie in both the tan and showing you the olive right now, just a phenomenal tungsten conehead. Good lead fly. That thing just kills it on the Arkansas. And then the pseudo sculpin, another just great, heavy, really, really nice fly to throw. And then trailing, obviously one of my breadwinners on this river is John Barr's Slump Buster in various colors, but I like the natural color right now, tungsten conehead. And again, running that trailer about 12 inches max below that top fly, and running a fast sink poly leader or short standard leader, and max 3x at the lightest, maybe 2x even. These fish, when they're going to hit, and we're fishing 3x and 4x on our dry flies too, so they're going to hit, and average flow is going to be from 1,500 to 2,000 in the next week at least, and probably below that in the next 2 weeks. So fish get out in that current, and they're going to run your show unless you have pretty heavy tippet on. The near enough sculpin, just another one of our breadwinners as a dropper as well. So things on the arc couldn't be better right now. We're really staring at a great season coming up. And right now, this is when you want to be here. This is fishing in a barrel. I really can't tell people enough times to come here and experience the river when it is high and the edges are clearing, and not really high comparably. Obviously 5,000 is much higher than 2,000. 2,000 is very manageable. But again, we're fishing the edges. Come do a float trip with us. We still have some availability for the last week of June, and July is filling quickly, but float trips are a great way to approach the river. But again, walk wading and just fishing the edges and being very cautious, and not even wading if you don't want to. You don't need to. Just bring hiking boots that you don't mind getting a little wet, and fish the edges. Guys, you need to come experience the Arkansas now. Now. In the next week or so is just going to be the peak of the post runoff fishing. So, and fishing will continue to be very, very productive. Obviously, we've got a lot of hatches coming up. We've got yellow sallies, which last year were just prolific, and we expect that to be the same this year. PMDs, red quills, drakes, more blue wings coming. It doesn't really end until November on this river, but I would tell you, if you haven't experienced the receding water and fishing the edges, you really need to come as soon as possible. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email us at info@royalgorgeanglers.com. Visit our website. Great reports, updated reports daily again now. Now that fishing's on and hot again. Don't forget, we are an ORMIS endorsed outfitter. If you want to learn how to fish this river and fish the edges at the state the river's in right now, we would love to have you We've got extremely experienced guides, probably the most experienced guides in southern Colorado, if not Colorado, on the Arkansas. And, having great days on the South Platte as well, and Spinney. So if you have any questions about guide trips, do give us a call. Toll free, 888-994-6743. Thanks so much for viewing, and we really, look forward to seeing you in the fly shop. We are open 7 days a week, 7:30 a.m. through 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and Sunday 7:30 a.m. through 1 p.m. We really hope to see you in soon, and enjoy your time out there. Be safe on the river, and thanks so much for viewing. Again, this is Taylor Edrington, Royal Gorge Anglers, royalgorgeanglers.com.